What's up guys, I hope you're doing well. Earlier this week I got nostalgic over old Counter-Strike videos, and more specifically the music that was in the intros and outros. So while gaming, I listened to a surf mix posted by ESL Counter-Strike and noticed that these beats were pretty easy to make. So I thought, why not make a tutorial about how to make them, since I made a bunch on stream already. Just a quick disclaimer though, the beats in the ESL mix are more lo-fi inspired, while the ones I'm going over are more ambient and synth related. But the same tools and theory can be applied to both. But with that out of the way, let me show you how to make some chill beats. So these beats are meant to be more ambient and therefore they're a lot slower. Typically I've stuck to 100 and 110 BPM, and for this beat specifically, we're at 108. The first thing you want to do is just grab a nice simple pad. And for this, I went to Analog Lab and I made a simple chord progression and copy and pasted it over and shifted it down to. And that sounds like this. Just nice, long, simple chords that help set the mood. Next, we have another pad that are layered with the first pad that is pitched up about an octave higher, and that sounds like this. Again, very simple and long chords that help set the mood. On the first pad, I didn't have anything in the mixer, but on the second, I added crystalline about halfway through, some fruity delay on the ping pong setting, and some fruity chorus on the default setting, turned down about halfway. Next, we had this pad that I kind of used as noise throughout, just playing for a bar at the start and the end of a full bar progression. And that sounds like this. Again, very ambient stuff. I made each note descend that pattern so you can tell that there's progression and it's just not the same two notes being played like the pads. For this, I just lowered it in the mixer a little bit, added some reverb, same as the second pad, and just left it at that. Skipping the art that I didn't actually end up using in the full beat, we have just a simple respace from Serum, and it follows a very simple progression. Originally, this A sharp was pitched all the way down here, but I decided to pitch it up an octave so it wasn't as muddy. Then for the drums, they're pretty simple standard drums. I'm using a Salem kit that I got from Reddit. I'm not sure if it's still up on Reddit because I got it, 3, 4 years ago, but I believe Crystal Castles is another group similar to Salem. So if you can find a Crystal Castles drum kit, there'll probably be similar sounds within them. Pretty much all of these beats, I start out with a simple kick, followed by a snare, some two-step hi-hats that have some extra notes very sparsely, a secondary snare, and this hi-hat I tried to use as an open hat ambient sort of sound. I didn't do it for this beat for whatever reason, but typically you're going to want to adjust the velocity of your hi-hats as well as your snares, just so they don't sound too rigid. On the secondary snare, I added some reverb, and the same goes for the open hi-hat. But really, that's about it for the drum processing. It's very, very simple stuff. I will say with the pads, I picked sounds that were already pretty textured. So if you don't have, a bass sound that's as textured, you can add, a plugin texture, Portal, Shaper Box, Bit Crusher, anything really to give it that extra textured feel. However, the main source of texture is going to come from your master chain, which for me, I put on RC20. I started with this cassette first generation preset, which has the distortion cranked up high. So off the bat, you're going to probably want to turn that down a bit. I also adjusted the vinyl noise down a little bit so it didn't feel like it was blasting. And I also added this decay module right here, this space module, which I believe is reverb, and it just helps give it a more spacey sound. This preset also comes with an EQ turned on, so it's boosting the lows while also cutting out super lows and rolling off the high end to make it sound, more nostalgic, like it's coming out of the cassette. So without the RC20, the beat would sound like this. This is what it sounds like with it on. Right off the bat, you can see that the extra reverb and rolling off the high ends helps. And with these type of beats, I feel like the vinyl noise is it's a given, it's a must. With the distortion, you could really go with or without, but I found that for this beat, I liked it. Some other beats, I turned off the boost mode and just made it roll off the low ends instead. If you don't have RC20, you can achieve the same sort of feel, probably with a fruity reverb and EQ and isotope vinyl on the master. They're all either stock or isotope vinyl is free. But if you don't want to use isotope vinyl, you can also just download a vinyl noise sample off a website like freesound.org. I use their site a lot for ambient sounds, and you can just link it to a mixer track and adjust it to your liking. However, I'd like to add that these beats don't have to stay simple. In this second beat, you see that I added more notes to the chords with also some more changes, and I have an arc that I kept. And for the arc that I kept, I believe it's this one, I added fruity chorus, delay on the ping pong setting, and wire to push it out. Some pretty standard stuff, but it helps the beat become more interesting. I did the standard, two pads working together to create one sound, but I also added a third synth / pad sort of sound, which sounds like this. And that's got nothing on it, it's just turned down on the mix. And once again, we have RC20, but instead of the space, I turned on the magnetic and the wobble modules, changed the noise, and the distortion is still there, it's just turned up a little more, I think, than the other beat. And the highs that are rolled off, I think there's less of them that are rolled off. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. It's very simple. I still did the same stuff with all of the drums, simple snare, kick, hi-hat, open hat, secondary snare. But other than that, there's nothing much to it. These are just some simple beats you can play during some gamer time. Maybe it'll help you unwind from a long day, or they'll help you not yell at the game, not scream at the top of your lungs when you get peeked out of mid. But other than that, I'm gonna let one of these beats play, and I'm probably gonna make some more of these and release my own sort of Counter-Strike surf mix up on my main channel. So if you're interested in that, please go ahead and subscribe to the main channel. That's where all of my original music is posted. And if you have any suggestions for future videos or just comments in general, leave those down below. I always like reading them, and I'm always open to feedback as well. I'm still working on a drum and bass kit. I realized that all of the sounds, like the pads that I exported, were in MP3 and not WAV. So I've been going back and then just making sure that everything is exported in higher quality so that it's easier and nicer to use. But other than that, enjoy the chill beats and have a good day.